So now I'm going to round out the C.S. Lewis Space Trilogy with the first book, Out of the Silent Planet. And this book definitely has a science fiction flavor. What you have is a man, a linguist or a philologist, who is kidnapped essentially by two, I don't want to call them crazy people, but they are differently oriented people in terms of their goals and their reality, who kidnapped this guy and hustle him on their spacecraft and take him to Mars. And there's a lot of detail about what the trip to Mars is like, and also when they get back to Earth, there's a lot of detail with regards to how they do that as well. Um, and when he gets to Mars, it's very much an adventure. It comes across, I don't want to say Tarzan, but I do get an Edgar Rice Burroughs feel in terms of like Barsoom. If you've read A Princess of Mars or any of the Barsoom novels, that the hero, in Barsoom it's John Carter, often is getting yanked from place to place, and there are different sentient species on Mars, and that's, of course, Edgar Rice Burroughs. C.S. Lewis himself does not credit Burroughs, though Burroughs wrote before the Space Trilogy, but does credit H.G. Wells. And maybe it's because Burroughs is American and H.G. Wells is English, British, but I don't really care. The issue here is in Out of the Silent Planet, the main character, again hijacked, but he meets multiple sentient species on Mars. And what's interesting about these species, there's like a culture clash. To a certain extent, Ransom is well picked because as a philologist or linguist, he picks up on the Martian language and then he realizes there's basically one language on the planet among all the sentient beings. There's some niceties with regards to the first group of beings that he comes across, in that they kind of have the oldest and fanciest version. But you come across that this is a very old planet, and that there were multiple prior sentient species that have been extinct for a very long time, even before humans came into existence. It's a very interesting landscape. Lewis, there's not much in the way of plot. Okay, I don't think Lewis is much on plot. He's very good at setting a world, setting a scene, setting imagery and a feel. And you do get the feel. This is a very old world. A lot of it has died off. It's a very challenging world in terms of the geography, the dangers, and it's a very different kind of cultural world. And what's interesting to Ransom, and let's forget about his antagonists, which are the two humans who kidnapped him, that he's, how shall I put this? He doesn't understand the lack of conflict, per se, between the sentient species. All of the humans are assuming very violent or untoward motives on the various species because, hey, humanity is inherently violent, so why wouldn't these guys be? But that's not how it is. And what's interesting is each of the species has their own geographic niche, as well as their own specialty in terms of what they can do, what they are known for, and the different groups don't encroach on each other. So it's a concept of being a sentient species does not mean one must be killing everybody else for supremacy. That sufficiency, some are fine with sufficiency. It's very different from kind of the social Darwinism point of view that was very popular. So this one, again, there is some Christian elements to it. You do understand by the end that the Eldilla, and he did steal the world from Tolkien, that those are angels, and he also calls them gods. But for the most of the novel, it really does have a science fiction flavor, and it's a great idea of how humans coming in contact with aliens, and they're not a threat to us, but we are a threat to them. So that has implications in the story. So something to think about.